I'm in my favorite little store in downtown Salem, and I'm staring at this floppy stuffed animal turtle with a corduroy shell. And it's smiling back at me from the baby section. And I've been in this store so many times, but in the last year or so, I've started avoiding this particular corner. Because when you really want to have a baby and you don't have a baby, those shelves of tiny soft things meant for tiny soft humans becomes a really dark place. But I'm facing my fear today in the interest of faith. And I'm not a faith-driven person. I don't manifest, I don't pray. But I'd spent a lot of time recently crying to my friends about my inability to get pregnant. And none of them had really gone through infertility, but they were my friends and they wanted to be helpful. So at first they said things like, "Have you tried getting really drunk and going on vacation?" And when I said, yes, I've tried that, they said things like, "Well, you just need to relax. You need to believe. You need to picture yourself holding that baby." And look, I wanted to do those things, but after so many months of wanting to see those two little pink lines, I had become guarded because I'd learned that the lower the expectations, the shorter the fall. But I'd also been looking for the answer to the question, why me? And it seemed more and more like the answer to that question might be that I just didn't believe enough. I didn't have enough faith. And so when my husband and I decided to try IVF, I tried to have extra faith. This was science, this was data, we had a plan. We knew we would inject hormones into me, I would go in, they would harvest my eggs, which is a very painful process. My husband would go into a small room with magazines and do something much less painful. And then they would take his sperm and my eggs, and they would put them in a dish, and we would wait 5 days, and we would hope for embryos. But I didn't know anyone who'd done IVF in real life, so I started to do some research, and I went where most elder millennials go for information. I went to Instagram. And I started by searching the hashtag IVF, and pretty soon I'd uncovered this underground tribe of hashtag infertility warriors. And you could kind of tell where everyone was at in their journey based on this string of emojis that they would put underneath their name and their bio. And so I created an account, and I put a little syringe in my bio signifying IVF. And I started to learn things. I started to learn that hashtag BFN meant big fucking negative in regards to a pregnancy test. I'd seen a lot of those. And I learned really good injection techniques because some of those needles are big and scary. And I learned silly things like it's good to keep your feet warm. And one woman shared a link to bulk buy those foot warmers that you put in your ski boots. And I bought a whole box of those. And I followed two types of accounts. I followed people who were in the trenches of IVF with me, and then I followed people who had gone through treatment and been unsuccessful and had moved on to a life without children. And I followed those accounts because I needed proof that a life that didn't include motherhood could still be beautiful and wonderful and fulfilling. And these ladies, this tribe of hashtag infertility warriors, they supported each other fiercely through miscarriages, through failed rounds of IVF, and hardest of all, often through success. Every once in a while, someone would get that hashtag BFP, that big fucking positive. And there was jealousy, myself included, but there was also every time somebody added that baby emoji to the end of the string, it fed our hope. And I found myself doing really uncharacteristic things like commenting hashtag baby dust with sparkle emojis on someone's transfer post or post about a recent transfer. And in return, these women, they rallied around me through my first failed round of IVF and the first red X emoji that I had to put in my bio. And during our second round, we were in that 5-day window where we were waiting to hear if we had any embryos. And I put up a post about how I was so worried we wouldn't get any. And I was having a hard time keeping the faith. And one of my Instagram friends, she commented, maybe you should make a faith purchase. And that's where you buy something for the baby before it's a baby, and thereby communicating with the universe that you believe, which is how I ended up spending $30 on a floppy stuffed animal turtle with a corduroy shell. And the next day, the clinic called and they said, congratulations, you have an embryo. You should come in today and have that transferred into you. And you also have a cluster of cells that's looking promising. So we're gonna give that an extra day. So we go to Boston, we have the transfer, I come home, I take a picture of the floppy turtle, and I post it with the hashtag faith purchase, and I watch those supportive comments roll in. And the next day we get another congratulations call from the clinic because that slow clump of cells has become a really nice looking embryo and they're gonna freeze it for us. And I put a snowflake in my bio signifying that we have a frozen embryo. And around this time we had taken to nicknaming our embryos, and my husband said, you know, that slow little embryo, we should nickname that one Tortuga, which is Spanish for turtle. And I laughed and I agreed, and then I remembered our faith purchase, and I suddenly realized that maybe I hadn't bought that stuffed animal for the embryo that was currently inside of me. Maybe I'd bought it for the one that was being flash frozen in Boston. And so 2 weeks later, when my pregnancy test was negative, I wasn't surprised, and I put that second red X in my bio, but it was next to that snowflake. And on a gray morning in November, we drove into the city and had that Tortuga embryo transferred into me. And a lot was riding on this. I didn't think we could handle another round financially or medically or mentally. And this needed to work. And the weirdest thing happened. I suddenly believed, I had faith. I just knew it would work, because if that stuffed animal was meant for this embryo, then that embryo had to become a baby. And look, I don't know if it was the faith purchase or if it was science or if it was just dumb luck, but my 3-year-old son still sleeps with that turtle every single night. Thank you.